Greetings, people. I hope you guys have had a fantastic day so far. Today's video topic is one that is way overdue. I should have made a video about weak auras ages ago, but nevertheless, I'm finally making it. This video is meant mainly for new players, as I will be going over some pretty basic things about add-ons and the weak aura add-on itself. And the video pacing is going to maybe be a bit slower so all the new players can follow along. I will also be splitting the video into sections so you can all skip around to whatever part is relevant for you. Add-ons are, as the name suggests, additions to the game. They only affect you and mainly serve the purpose of improving quality of life, giving you more readily available information, or allowing you to customize your user interface to your liking. Some examples would be the add-on Bagnon that merges all of your bags together, the add-on Details that gives you a DPS meter to test your build's strength, or the add-on Bartender that allows you to change the size, shape, and look of your action bars, as well as give you easy access to keybind them. There's plenty more add-ons to choose from out there. These are just barely scratching the surface. Weak Aura is likely one of the most popular add-ons to get, along with a DPS meter. It's a super versatile add-on that can do a plethora of different things, to the point where it gets quite technical, like bypassing the roll animation when getting or re-rolling talents, or using it to save time when opening card packs prior to getting the Open All Cards button that we got at the start of Season 2. For this video guide, I'm going to show you how to use it to track buffs and debuffs on yourself and the enemy, making it easier to do your rotation and keep on top of things in a fight, which is quite necessary in my opinion in a game such as Ascension, where there's a ton of custom buffs to keep track of. Lucky for you, getting add-ons in Ascension can be quite easy. All you have to do is open the add-ons tab on the Ascension launcher and explore the options. When you've found an add-on that you would like to get, simply click download and the add-on will automatically be downloaded and installed in the correct interface folder on your PC. Congratulations, you have just installed your first add-on. It's worth mentioning that in the top right corner of the add-ons page, there's an option to select mods, but for the sake of this guide, we won't be messing with that, so try to look past those for now. For those of you that are technologically adept, it is possible to get more add-ons than those on the launchers list, but they won't be directly recommended by Ascension. Add-ons such as big debuffs can be quite handy in PvP, for example. These additional add-ons can be found on internet pages such as CurseForge or GitHub. Just make sure you download an old version of the add-on that fits the 3.3.5 Wrath of the Lich King version that Ascension is based on and manually install it in your Ascension's interface folder on your PC. For the purpose of this video, I won't be going into depth on how to do that, so you'll have to figure that out on your own if you do decide to expand on your add-on collection. Once you're done getting all the add-ons that you would like to, go ahead and download the Weak Auras add-on as well, as you'll be needing that for this Weak Aura guide. Then you can go ahead and boot up the game. You can also manage your add-ons in-game by clicking the add-ons button in the lower left corner of the character select screen, or by hitting escape and then add-ons while logged in on a character. From here, you can see the list of add-ons that are currently installed in the interface folder. This is where you can temporarily disable and enable them for various reasons. So once you log in after getting your Weak Aura, you should have a new minimap button called Weak Auras. And then this is where you can open your Weak Auras. If not, you can type /Weak Aura in chat like this, and that opens the same menu as left clicking. And if you accidentally middle click, it will remove the button. And if you want it back, you can type /Weak Aura minimap in chat like that. Just know that when you type Weak Aura, or if you click the button here and you're in combat, it won't open the menu until you leave combat. You will not be able to open the Weak Auras menu when you're in combat with something. The first thing that you should probably do is go ahead and make a group. You can group it however you want. I have one here called Snaptics Auras, and that's because I sometimes import other people's auras, and it's very nice to keep them separate. What you can also do is, for example, if you're making auras for a specific character, you can call it your character's name, or you can call it, for example, the class that you're playing. If you're playing Koa and you want to make some Koa weak auras, you can call it Pyromancer or Witch Doctor or whatever, so you know which weak auras are for which class. In this case, we're just gonna call it Tutorial, just because this is a tutorial. Once you have your group, you will want to go ahead and make your first weak aura. For weak auras, you will want to select either icon, model, progress bar, progress texture, stop motion, text, or a custom texture. All of these have their different niche uses. Icons are usually best for buffs in my opinion. Models, I don't really use models much, but they can be useful. text is really good for telling you to get the fuck out when you're standing and shit and stuff like that. And progress bars and progress textures are really good for timing different things. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to select icon because I do want to track a buff. But before I do that, I will have to change specs real quick. So for this guide, I want to track a specific buff whenever I do astral flares or star surges here. I do get a buff that's pretty integral to my build called Astral Fusion, and I want to track the uptime of this buff or whenever I do have it, so I can tell whenever I have my empowered star surges. So that's the buff I'm going to be tracking. The first thing you can do is get out of combat real quick so we can actually open my weak auras. I'm going to select icon as I said. I'm going to call it Astral Fusion because that's just straight up what it is. And then I'm going to explain briefly what each of these different sections mean. Display is basically what you want shown on the screen, the effect or the graphic, I guess, so to speak. It changes or alters the appearance and stuff like that. I will go into this. Trigger is what do you want to trigger the effect, or how do you want to trigger the effect? When do you want it to show up? Stuff like this. You can add extra conditions here. I won't go too much into detail about this. There's actions. This is not really that important, but you can show a chat message in chat that automatically sets something in chat whenever you whenever the weak aura triggers or something like this. Like for example, you can do /yell move or something in all caps whenever you get hit by shit to tell your teammates to also move out of the fire. Animations, you don't really need to mess with this. Load is also like extra conditions when you want the weak aura itself to even load and have like a chance of proccing. So let's say you only want it to show in combat or whatever. Custom options don't really matter. Information don't really matter. You can add a description to your weak aura in case you forget what the weak aura is for. I guess this is mainly for more advanced things, because in this case we're just gonna call it the buff's name. But the most important parts are display and trigger, because that's actually the weak aura itself. So the first thing you want to do is, because I want to track a buff, you want to go down here into trigger. This is what's going to trigger the buff itself. You would want to select aura, because it is an aura. Buffs are basically auras. You can also change all of these things. You can do whatever you want. Combat log, item. So whenever you use an item or your item's up. Spells, you can do all types of things. For this, we're going to track a buff, so we're going to pick aura. The unit, so what unit you want to track the buff on. For this, we're going to select player, which is basically ourselves. You can also track buffs on the target, on the raid target, your pets, party, etc, etc. You can also change the aura type. So in this case, we're tracking a buff. You can also track debuffs. For example, let's say you have a curse on you and you want a little icon to show up whenever you're cursed. That way you can have an easier time knowing of when to decurse yourself, for example. In this case, it's a buff and we want to track it on ourselves. So down here, we have to select what kind of buff, because we need to tell the weak aura what kind of buff we want to track, right? What I usually do is I do name. And in this case, I believe it does show up. So if I type Astral Fusion, that's the name of the buff. It does show up. If this is wrong, because you can see there's like 4 different Astral Fusion buffs, because Ascension is an old ass game that has like 700 different variations of the same thing from like older versions of the game, older updates, especially when they do balance changes and stuff like that. If the wrong one shows up, or if it auto locks the wrong one, what you can do, and what I usually do, is I do exact spell ID. So I click this instead of name, and then I go onto the Ascension database website. I find the right spell ID for the right buff, not unlike an old version of the buff or whatever that doesn't exist anymore. And then I will put the correct spell ID in here so the game knows exactly what type of buff it is you want to track. But as I said, in this case, Astral Fusion works just fine. These are really not that important, but, you know, they're pretty self-explanatory. Stack count, remaining time, total time is stealable only. So, for example, for stack count, let's say you want the... Actually, I have a really good example, because one of these up here, my Maelstrom weapon, Corrupted Maelstrom, let's say, has... let's do this. It has multiple icons that show up. I want this one, for example, to show up whenever I have 1. Whenever I have 2, I want this one to show up. You can see what it looks like here, by the way. This is what it looks like. So it gradually stacks up. And then I know when I have the third one, the one up here, I will have all 3 on screen. Then I know I have 3 out of 3 Corrupted Maelstrom. And then I will get a instacast Chaos Bolt. So that's what stack count is used for. In this case, we don't really need stack count. It is going to show on the Astral Fusion icon buff itself how many stacks I have. So I don't need the stack count thing. This is basically all you need to know for the buff tracking part. As I said, you can mess with this, total time, stealable, stuff like that, but it's not really that important. Then you can change the display and the position of the weak aura itself. So you can drag it around like this, whatever you want, or you can change it with the offsets here, the offset things. Let's say I want it right above my character, like this, just as an example. You can anchor it different places. You can have a parent group that it's anchored to. You can enable swipe. I forgot about this. This is really neat to have. If the buff runs out, so most buffs, are not permanent. You can enable a swipe. You can see it here as well. Whenever the buff runs out, it does the swipe maneuver. And whenever it's about to reach top here, that means the buff's about to run out. So you can track whenever you need to spend the buff or whatever, or whenever it's about to run out, which is very nice. You can inverse it so it's colored on this side that sweeps and uncolored on the other one. I like to have it like this, colored out here, and then the shadow basically fills it in. You can also show edge, which just makes it glow, I guess, right here. Makes it a little bit easier to see where the swipe timer is. Down here on background, you can change the background. You can change show text. You can change the color. You can change all sorts of different things. You can change the font, the size of the font, or you can show glow. For this type of buff, it's very important for this build specifically. So I do like to put glow on. So it will glow whenever you have the buff itself, which is very nice. I can show you real quick. So if I use Astral Flare, there you go. You can see how it glows. You can see how the buff is like running out. It refreshes whenever I refresh the buff or get one more stack. And you can see how the swipe timer correlates with whenever the buff's about to run out here. Yeah, there we go. And it perfectly lines up. One of the conditions you can do, for example, is where is it? Spell ID name. And then you can type the name here. Is exactly, or contains, or matches. Is exactly. Let's say Sarah's. I want to track Sarah's corruption here. So whenever Sarah's corrupts me, I can it shows up the icon, and then I know to dispel myself, for example. And by doing this, it allows the Uyghur to only show up whenever I get corrupted by Sarah's. So if anybody else puts corruption on me, it's not going to show the Uyghur. And in that way, you can change the conditions of your Uyghur. So I wanted to give you guys a second example of how you can use Uyghurs. This time we're going to do a progress texture. So I decided to log on Koa on my Falsworn here. Falsworn has the unique ability of whenever they reach 100 rage, or max rage, I guess, they enter Fell Empowerment, which basically, as you can see, gives them this buff and allows them to use these extra abilities that are super nice. So I want to track Fell Empowerment, and luckily for us on Koa, it does actually show the ID of all your buffs here. So what I did is I wrote down the Fell Empowerment ID just to show you an example of how that would work in the Uyghur section. So we open Uyghurs, and as you know, of course, because it is Koa and the game uses different files, it uses a separate game files, we won't have the tutorial group. So I'm just going to make a group real quick and call it tutorial. There we go. And then we're going to do progress texture this time. And then under trigger, I always do trigger first. I don't know why displays is the first one, but trigger is way more important, of course. We can call it Fell Empower Map right here. Boom, now we know what it is. And then this time we're going to do exact spell ID, so I can show you exactly how that works. So the ID for this, I wrote it down over here, 804216. Yep, there we go, Fell Empowerment. Perfect. So now it's tracking the right spell. Make sure it is, set to player and set to buff and aura, of course. You want to track buffs. And then under display, you can change the look of it. Right now, it looks like this, these bars. Of course, you can change the offset or the positional quartz of this thing. But probably the most neat feature is here at the top. You can click this little folder right here under interface add-ons at the top of display. And then you can pick however you want your bar to look like. So you can pick from like a whole list of different things here. Let's say, for example, Blizzard alerts. You can do some of these if you really wanted to. There's like a bunch of different, what's it called? Emblems and textures that you can pick from. I'm just going to pick something that's like remotely close to being up and down. Let's just do this. It's probably fine. Let's take it out here a little bit. Maybe like this, probably. I think it's only going to do the right one, but we can check here in a second. I think there's a glow somewhere. Blend mode glow. I like glow. I don't know why. There we go. And it should work now. So whenever we enter fell empowerment here, it should show up and tell us exactly how long we have left. Oh, it actually does show both, weirdly enough. But it does count your time on the fell empowerment. Let's see if there's some sort of way to get rid of one of them here. You could just crop it, which I actually might end up just doing. I'll show you how to do that. You open up weak ores and go in here. You can crop it like this. Crop it. You can crop it in the other direction as well. Recenter like this. So what I did is I just, if we take it back here, I cropped the sides a little bit. You can see how, let's just take it over here so I can show you. You can crop the sides here, make it show more or less. What I did is I cropped it all the way down and then recentered the actual aura itself. There we go. And that should pretty much do it. We can replace it right over here in the middle. You can do those with the X and Y coordinates as well. That should pretty much do it. There we go. It does show and it does go down as it should. If you do decide to get rid of the buff, or if it gets, I don't know, stolen or something like that from spell steal, it will end the effect early, as you can see. So I just clicked it off and the weak aura goes away. The very last thing that I want to show you guys and teach you guys about is how to export and import your weak auras. So basically what the other person would do, if you have a friend that has a really nice weak aura that you want, or you find something on the interwebs, I guess, they can go in here, or you can share your own. Right click the weak aura, select export. You can also duplicate it, by the way. Select export. You will get this string. You copy this. You can put it in a notepad. That's what I would do. I would just open a Windows notepad, paste it in there, save it on your desktop, and send it over Discord or something like that. And then you can, the person on the receiving end of the weak aura just clicks up here in import, paste in the string. And then in this case, it says you already have this group because it's my own. But in case you wanted to share it, that's how you would do it. That's pretty much the basics of weak auras. Of course, you can go into detail on some of the conditions. You can even make weak auras that track your combo points, your energy bar. You can make weak auras that shows up when you enter combat. You can even go so far as to download World of Warcraft sounds, MP3 files, basically, on the Wowhead website or something like that. And then you can manually insert those MP3 files into the add-ons folder of your weak auras, weak aura file itself. And then you can attach different sounds to your weak auras. So whenever the weak aura shows up, you can play sounds of, for example, like a human screaming, or you can have like a level up sound or something like that every time you use charge, or, you can play different MP3 files whenever you use different abilities and such. There's like infinite things you can do with weak auras, but these were just the basics. That's it for this video. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, you can ask on my Discord as usual. I do also have builds on there, and I will try to regularly update the build guides. I have updated it quite recently, at least a few of them, and I will keep making, or I'll keep adding more as I discover them. Make sure you catch me in my next video when it does come out. I know I haven't been uploading too frequently lately, we don't talk too much about that. If you have any video suggestions, feel free to leave those in the video suggestions channel as well, also on my Discord. That's all for now. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys around.